why didn't I die? Yeah, I am really famous for being lucky. You know, the Joker card, I played the Joker all the time. Maybe I only was worried about dying after 50 years old. Before that, I didn't care. The only problem I didn't like was if I was in a wheelchair or, you know, like that. Because I used to love to snowboard. If the conditions were right, I would go. I made a couple of mistakes a few times with the avalanches, one on the Hellbrunner, and nobody there, nobody was skiing because there was too much snow. And I skied, one turn, baff, the whole couloir. And I remember this riding down the couloir, really bad for 100 meters, the snow is over here. And I think, oh, that's the end. It was nice, nice life, bye-bye. And then I think I'm dead. And then the light gets better because the snow is gone and the cloud has disappeared. And I was like this, with my head in the sunshine, alive. It was very nice and warm. And down there I could see the valley, and very far away I could see the little skiers. And I was thinking, now I have to get out. But the snow was like this. So I thought, it's not a problem, I take my time and then I will go and have a coffee soon. And I was very, very happy like this. The suntan was very strong after this one. Climbing was a little bit more of a problem, rock climbing. I fell off sometimes, like I broke my leg 2 times. You know, you fall 10 meters, you can't find a good place to land, break my leg. I did a 15-meter fall, the same thing, I break the leg. This was in 1 year. I take the plaster off, then I go soloing again, you know, a few months later I break another leg. On the Grand Gerace once, I was sleeping in a little plastic bag and there was the lightning, you know, like this. And then there were these strange like balls of lightning, you know, moving around and going puff and puff and puff. And it was like after a party, you know, when your brain is a little bit too much from too much of this. It's like, it was really, really strange. And occasionally, you know, you get the electricity going through you. Then I was a little bit scared. I was a little bit scared of electricity. Ferrat-Chaval in this area has very strange climatic conditions. I took a 30-meter fall there and I hit the ground. A big icicle exploded and I took a 30-meter fall and hit the ground flat, not like flat, on my back in this much snow. My friend who was feeling, he thought I was dead. Even I thought I was dead. It was just a catastrophe. After a while I said to my friend, I said, come and get me. And he said, I'm hearing things because you are dead. I am going mad because you're dead. Eventually he came down and, you know, he helped me up and I was okay. And, you know, moving a little bit and I was okay, a miracle. Then we went drinking all night, me and him. The next day, he sold all his equipment. He sold his axes, crampons, and he never went climbing again. I am not stupid, so if I was to keep climbing grade 7, I would die. This is something people don't understand about grade 7. Grade 7 it's that next step up in danger too. It's fragility. The structure must be fragile because then you have to adopt a much lighter technique. You cannot be bash, bash, bash. You have to be, you know, light and delicate with the structure. But I wanted to stay climbing. I wanted to still push myself, but not always at grade 7. With my experience of climbing rock and mixed, I was able to come here to Konya and see things that nobody else had ever seen. And this was the start of mixed climbing in Europe, of this interesting level where you have X-Files and things like that. Nobody understood the X-Files was even there. They just walked straight past it. But I could see these nice little icicles. And one year I saw a very, very big icicle. So I thought, I go, I have a look, I see if I can learn something. X-Files was possible. X-Files became a very nice route. And it's not so dangerous. I think when I did the first ascent, I did take a 20-meter fall. But 20-meter fall is you live, the rope does the work for you. I tried it from the ground up, clip into the ice axe, put the bolt in, hand bolt. And then I also thought the Europeans, they won't understand how to use, Quonset and things like this. They need the bolt. Anyway, the short story is I put, I think, 5 bolts in. And it was just enough. It was okay. It wasn't like a sport route. You could take 20-meter falls. But it was still, you weren't gonna die. Man, this was, when I did this, there was a real big storm. A big storm, because first of all, they didn't understand it. The Italians came to rescue me and my wife, because when I finished it, the cloud was in. Laurence was screaming because she couldn't finish the thing. The Italian guides came to rescue us, but by this time we had come down to the bottom. They told us, we came to rescue you, and I said, well, you came for nothing because we were here. The stories after, fucking Jesus. The stories with X-Files are crazy. Because the American boy, he wanted to do it. The Americans thought that they were the best in the world at the time. Oh, the Americans. Some of the Americans are my friends, obviously. They were not as good as at ice as some of the Europeans, like Thierry Renard and me. They could not climb grade 7. Grade 7 did not exist in America, but they were strong, and they wanted to create the myth that they were still the best. Yeah, but this wasn't true. It wasn't. It was simply not true. So the problems I had with Vertical magazine here, they were the same problems I ended up having with the magazines in America. And so there was many fights and parlare and stupid fights at rassemblements, ice meetings everywhere. And they used to make me laugh because I just used to get drunk and just maybe bite them in the ankle.